Welcome back to Norman, Oklahoma, and this is a very special game for the Oklahoma Sooners because there are some very special spectators in the house tonight. This is a very special program for the Oklahoma Sooners. These kids got the ultimate treatment today, a tour of the OU locker room. They got to try on equipment. They got their picture with some players. They actually visited with head coach Bob Stoops before the game, got to try on his rings, took a tour of the Switzer Center. Some of them struck their very own Heisman poses. It's a tradition that Bob Stoops established 7 or 8 years ago to participate in the Special Spectators program. And these kids get a break from everyday life and get to live the life of an Oklahoma Sooner. And guys, in just a minute, we're going to talk to a representative from Special Spectators about just what an important event this is.
Just a tremendous thing that Bob Stoops has got the whole school involved in. The kickoff goes in the end zone, and we'll send it right back down to you, Emily.
And we're joined now by Blake Rockwell of the Special Spectators program. And Blake, just talk about how jazzed these kids get to come to a game like this.
Well, how can it be wrong being in an atmosphere like this and meeting Coach Stoops in his office, getting into the locker room, meeting some of the players, greeting them at the stadium. This is a fantastic time for all these kids.
Listen, and I got to be in the room when Coach Stoops greeted these kids, and he knows these kids on a very personal basis because he visits the Children's Hospital in Oklahoma City and has developed relationships with these guys.
Absolutely. He knows all of them by first name basis. He's been visiting the hospital for years, and unfortunately a lot of these kids have been treated at the hospital for years, and he gets to know them very, very well.
Backup quarterback Tiller comes on here for Iowa State, trying to make something happen, and he does as he moves the chains out to about the 40. Emily?
Well, one thing I did want to mention, as I was leaving Coach Stoops' office, he said to me, "Hey Emily, let's get a challenge out there to the rest of the coaches in the Big 12 and see if they can't do that at their schools." Just talk about his personally wanting to make this a mission for the entire conference and all of college football.
Absolutely. He's making a challenge to some of his fellow coaches in the Big 12. Hopefully they can get involved. Coach Gundy, we did a fantastic event at Oklahoma State 3 weeks ago, and he's fully behind it as well. And we'd love to have not just all the schools in the Big 12, but every FBS school participating in Special Spectators.
Okay, so all those Big 12 coaches watching at home, Bob Stoops throwing down the gauntlet and challenging you to become involved. Really is a really cool program. It was neat to see the smiles on these kids' faces, and nobody wants Bob Stoops to one-up them, do they?
No, nobody.
That's right. Thanks so much, Emily. And yeah, as she mentioned there, Coach Stoops, this isn't like, oh, just let him come into the stadium here. It's like, no, he visits, he's with those kids all the time. And it's a regular thing. And we know coaches around the league are involved in a lot of charitable ideas and giving back to the community. This is one that's terrific that I certainly hope everyone will accept that challenge.
And it's such a great opportunity to keep perspective as we see some of the kids and enjoying themselves here at Owen Field, watching the Sooners really play their most complete game of the season thus far. And I just got to commend Bob Stoops to understand the perspective. Listen, you know, we can get ourselves so wrapped up into football and who wins and who loses, and sometimes we can lose perspective as sports fans and even the athletes and coaches themselves. And so I commend Bob for keeping some of that perspective in mind and
understands the impact he's able to have by opening his doors and being willing to participate in all of those community activities. Well, here is Tiller, and Jerome Tiller, not much more luck than Arnaud as Oklahoma corrals him, and Jamarcus McFarland with a sack on the play. Tiller is a sophomore from San Antonio, Texas, and he was the player that was key in the win against Nebraska last year when Arnaud was hurt and out.
Yeah, he keyed that 9-7 win. In fact, threw a touchdown pass in Lincoln, and Jerome Tiller gets placed in the ball game. But that's a tough position to be for Jerome Tiller, just a sophomore from San Antonio, because when OU smells blood in the water, they start attacking, and their athletes are very fast and very physical.
Broyles on the punt return. Stutter steps out near the 35-yard line where the Sooners will get it back 38-0. After this break, we'll check in with Rick Renner for an Academy Sports and Outdoors game break.